Good morning, and thank you for joining me once again for yoga, mat yoga, for energizing the body and the mind. This is lesson number 3. So I'm hoping that between these 3 lessons, you can either be using this class once per week, maybe twice or 3 times a week, just trying to stir up good energy in the body and the mind whenever you may need it. So let's begin by planting our feet hips distance apart on the ground. Let's start to lift up through the shoulders and roll them back and down. And automatically we feel our chest beginning to open up, undoing any unintentional slouching that we've been doing this morning, maybe earlier in the week. Just opening everything up, feeling these chest muscles stretching out for us. It's also a good time to check in to see how the shoulders are feeling today. And as we check in with the shoulders and all parts of our physical body, we make note of any areas that may be giving us concern today. And we make a promise to ourselves to move through those areas very gently, if at all. Remembering that all of the options given today in this practice are for us to create exactly the right practice that we need. So use the options given as you like. Now let's roll those shoulders all the way back and down, standing tall, both feet firmly planted into the ground beneath us, engaging our abdominals, keeping the chest nice and open, and lifting up tall through the crown of our head. And if we're comfortable doing so, we can close our eyes here as we breathe deeply in through the nose and out through the nose. Putting aside any stray thoughts and bringing ourselves to this present moment, right here, right now. And as we breathe deeply and we let go of stray thoughts, we begin to feel our forehead relaxing, our eyes, cheeks, and mouth relaxing. Relaxing through the neck and the shoulders. And feeling this wonderful river of relaxation flowing down from the crown of our head, down to heart center, all the way down to the soles of our feet. During today's practice, we make a promise to ourselves to listen to the body at all times, easing up whenever we need to, and giving ourselves more of a challenge whenever we want to. Let's take a few more cleansing, centering breaths. Using each inhale to breathe peace and calm into the body and the mind, and using each exhale to let go of judgment, competition, and even our own expectations. Allowing ourselves to be pleasantly surprised by what these healthy bodies can do. Now when we're ready, let's slowly open our eyes. We're going to use a special pranayama breathing tool at the beginning of this practice, which will also help us to energize the body and the mind. And it's called Surya Bedana, right nostril breathing. So what we're going to do here is take our right hand, placing it right in front of us with the palm toward us. Let's take our 3 middle fingers and fold them downward toward us. So we have our thumb and our pinky extended still. I'm going to take my pinky finger and gently close the left nostril so that only the right nostril is open. And we're gonna breathe in and out at our own pace, only through that right nostril. So let's take our time, let's have a little fun with it. A few more of these energizing breaths. And when we're ready, let's relax that right hand and roll the shoulders back. Now, if we were looking for just a calming type of breath to calm the body and the mind, we would use left nostril breathing. So just a little tip there. Now, I do want to remind everyone, if you have a yoga strap or even a bathrobe tie, a soft piece of rope, even a long bath towel, if you have any of those kind of tools, I want you to have those ready and on the edge of your mat or just to the side of your mat. We are going to be using those tools later, just trying to open up the shoulders a little more and also for our standing balance pose. So I'm going to move my yoga strap to the side. And you also want to make sure you've got some water in case you want to stop and hydrate. And we will stop and hydrate throughout the practice. Let's take a wide stance with our feet here. And I want you to bend your knees, and I'm always checking to make sure that I can see my toes down there, okay? We want to be able to see the toes, so it's a nice wide base, and also so that we're not putting undue strain on our knees. So let's inhale, both arms overhead to a star pose, and on the exhale, bring those elbows in toward the ribs. Inhale as you reach up toward the sky, exhale, bring them back in. And we notice that we're keeping our shoulders stacked right above the hips. I'm not leaning forward or back to the best of my ability here. And we're only bending through the knees as much as is comfortable for us. Inhaling as we stretch out to a star and exhaling when we squat down. Moonflower flow. Let's use a couple more of these. These flowing movements are going to help us stimulate some good energy at the beginning of the practice. Now let's change it up and let's hinge forward, bending through the knees and gathering, inhaling and rising tall. So we bend and we gather with a nice flat back. We inhale and rise. Sunflower hinges. These hinges are going to give us a nice opportunity here to bring some lubricating fluids down to the lower back, as well as starting to get those good fluids pumping throughout the rest of the body and building some good heat. One more of these sunflower hinges. Now let's take a little lunge over to the side for side angle, and then inhale back to a star. Exhale over to the other side. Inhale and lift. Let's keep those core muscles here engaged. That's going to help with our balance. And it also helps to protect the back as we're leaning over to one side. Now, throughout the practice, we usually try to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. It's a warming breath, which is a nice way to warm the body to get those nice, warm, stretchy muscles. It's also an audible breath, so I can hear it more easily. So I can find my focus there if my mind begins to wander. But if you're ever getting too hot in your practice, just breathe out through the mouth and let some of that hot air escape the body. One more of these side angle flows on each side. Now let's bring those arms all the way back down. Let's step our feet to hips distance apart, and let's reach both arms back like we're holding onto a beach ball. It creates a little arch in the back. And then wrap your arms around a big tree trunk in front of you, pulling the abdominals in. So we inhale, opening the front body. Exhale, rounding through the spine. So we're using chest expansion and tree hugs. Using this flowing movement to continue to build some heat and also to lubricate the spine. Couple more times through. And when we're ready, let's bring those arms all the way back down. Now from the top of our mats here, let's inhale both arms overhead, put a little bend in the knees as you swan dive to a forward fold. Stretching those legs out as much as is comfortable for us today. Taking a few more deep breaths. And when I'm ready, let's go ahead and step all the way back to downward dog. Reaching those heels back and down, hips up toward the sky, making that upside down V shape with the body. Let's start to pedal the heels here, one at a time with alternating heel presses. Starfish style hands, pedaling through the heels, keeping the abdominals engaged here. Downward dog. Now let's reach both heels back and down, taking 3 breaths here. Let's gently lower the knees to the ground, stacking right up into an all-fours position. Remember, if it's not comfortable to have flat hands on the ground, you can certainly use a fist for the wrist. If I had small hand weights, I could even use those here if that feels more comfortable for wrist support. So let's start with cat and cow. Let's inhale, arching the back for cow. And on the exhale, we round up through the spine, pulling the abdominals upward. Inhaling into cow, exhaling as we round. couple more times with our cat and cow, and then we'll make a little change. Now let's come back to a neutral spine, looking down at the ground. Let's inhale, engaging our abdominals. On the exhale, bring that left knee in toward your nose, and on the inhale, let's press it upward. Exhale, rounding the spine, nose to knee. Inhale with that little arch in the back and a heel press. Keeping those abdominals engaged here. One more time, nose to knee. Then press that heel upward, and let's come back to all fours. Now let's switch over to the other side. Inhale, engage the abdominals first. Exhale, bring the right knee in toward the nose. Inhale, press that right heel upward. This is called sunbird flow. It's going to give us a little bit more hip mobility work in addition to our spinal lubrication. One more time, nose to knee, then pressing that heel upward. Come on back to all fours. Let's reach those hips back toward the heels for a moment. In our child's pose, Balasana. Feeling that wonderful stretch through the spine here. Now, let's go ahead and shift back to our all fours pose, and we'll use spinal balance flow. So on the inhale, let's reach our left arm forward as the right leg stretches out long behind us, engaging the abdominals. Exhaling back. This time, let's inhale the right arm forward and the left leg extends behind. Come on back to all fours. Now we're engaging the abdominals this whole time, not only to support the back, but also to help with our balance here. So every time we inhale, we're lengthening through one arm and the opposite leg, and then we exhale back to all fours. Now, if you want to spice things up a little, we can add a little more. Let's inhale, reaching out. On the exhale, reach out on the diagonal with the leg and the arm. Exhale back to the center, bring it in. So we inhale, exhale on the diagonal. Inhale, bring it back to the center. Exhale back to the mat. Inhaling long. Exhaling to our diagonals. Inhale back to the center. Exhale back to the mat. So just play around with these movements. It's nice to have some new options so that our practice can always stay fresh for us, even if it's a lifelong practice. Change things up every once in a while. All right, one more time on each side, whichever option you're using. All right, coming back to all fours. Let's reach the hips back again for child's pose for a moment. Stretching out through the spine. We are going to practice our upper body practice now. So on the next inhale, let's shift forward to a strong kneeling plank. Abdominals engaged, shoulders over the wrists, and then let's exhale back, child's pose. Again, let's inhale forward to a strong kneeling plank, and on the exhale, come back to child's pose. This time, let's add some more. We inhale forward. We keep our elbows close to the body as we lower down to the ground. Keeping the elbows close, let's inhale, lifting the chest away from the ground like a snake in the grass. So this is all about lifting with the chest, not pressing up through the hands. So I should be able to lift up my fingers and wiggle them to my neighbors. On the exhale, come on back, child's pose. Let's try it again. Inhale forward to kneeling plank. Exhale, brush the ribs with the insides of your arms on chaturanga. Inhale, lift to cobra. Exhale, come all the way back. Inhaling forward. Exhale, lower with control. Inhale, lift to cobra. Exhale, come on back. Inhaling to our kneeling plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, come all the way back. A few more times through. Let the back do the work for cobra. Come on back. Coming all the way back to child's pose. Let's take a few breaths here. Now let's walk the hands over to one side on the diagonal for downward facing thunderbolt pose. And we feel that luxurious stretch through the opposite side of our trunk. I love downward facing thunderbolt. It gives us such a nice side body stretch. Now let's walk the hands back to the center and we'll do it on the other side. Now let's walk the hands all the way back to the center. Let's lift our hips here so we can curl our toes down to the ground, pressing our heels back and down, coming into downward dog. Sending good fluids down to the brain here. Very calming and energizing at the same time. On the next inhale, let's come forward to a high plank or kneeling plank. Let's lower down through chaturanga and lift to cobra or upward dog. Then we lift the body back into downward dog. Moving up to our hands, step up, hop up, jump up, rise up on the inhale, and let's sit back into chair pose as we exhale. Inhaling, arms overhead, swan diving to a forward fold. Stepping back for downward dog. Inhaling into the plank of choice, we lower with control, and we lift to cobra or upward dog, lifting the body back, downward dog, hips up high, stepping forward, rising tall, and exhaling to a chair pose. Inhaling, arms overhead, swan diving down, stepping back for downward dog. Inhale to your plank of choice, lower with control through chaturanga, lift to upward dog or cobra, and curl the body back, downward dog. Moving up to our hands, rising as we inhale, let's exhale to chair. swan diving down. Stepping back for downward dog. Inhaling to our plank of choice. Lower with control. Lift. And come on back to downward dog. Let's move up to the hands. Rising tall. And exhaling to chair. A few more times through. Let's follow the breath. Use the options as you'd like. And of course, if you have another sun salutation you like to use here, always feel free to do so. Couple more times through, using our sun salutations to warm the body in a good positive way, burning away any debris that we're holding on to, whether that's toxins or negative thinking. Let's let it go. One more time through our sun salutations. Let's let those arms come all the way down. Shoo-wee. Having built some good heat there, let's go ahead and take a drink. Let's hydrate these strong, healthy bodies. Oh. And let's go ahead and grab our yoga strap when you're ready. Something to remember about getting hot and sweaty during yoga. It's fine to get hot and sweaty. There's a whole different kind of yoga called hot yoga. We know this. So getting hot and sweaty is not a problem for yoga. It's another way for us to let toxins out through sweating. However, we always want to know or notice if we're hot and sweaty, but we're also feeling nauseous, dizzy, or if we notice that the sweats are like cold sweats. Those are little red flags that we want to be aware of. That's when we want to take a break. Maybe we're overdoing it a little. And I've been there before myself, so this is key when we're listening to the body. Remember, take a break. It's okay. It's much better to listen to the body and take a break when we need to and be able to come out better for it on the other side. Now, we're going to take our yoga strap or soft rope, bathrobe tie, old necktie, whatever you have, and we're just going to fold it in half, and we're going to hold on to this strap behind the back. We're going to use a little deeper chest opening pose here. So I'm going to stand tall with feet hips distance apart. Let's inhale, lifting up through the shoulders, and roll them back and down. So even just with our hands behind the back this way, I'm feeling very open through the chest, maybe more so than when we were just reaching back with our beach ball hold. Now with the strap, we have some more options that help us get a little deeper, but we're gonna listen to the body and make sure that's what we wanna do. So I might reach those arms a little further away from the body. And that's going to bring a little more intensity to this chest opening pose. But hopefully it's feeling good and intense. If anything's uncomfortable, we're just gonna lower those arms back and ease up, okay? Let's stay nice and open here, engaging our abdominal muscles. Breathing in lots of good nourishing oxygen. Now let's inhale tall here, strong abdominals engaged. Put a little tiny bend in the knees, and let's hinge about halfway forward so our chest is parallel to the ground. Now, if you're someone who's working through vertigo, glaucoma, or uncontrolled high blood pressure, the key there is uncontrolled, I want you to stay right here at this level, chest parallel to the ground. If those are not a concern for you, you're welcome to hinge a little further forward if you'd like. Straightening those legs for everybody, regardless of the level of your hinge. Straighten out those legs as much as they're comfortable straightening today. If you're using the strap behind you still at this point, you can continue to reach those arms further away from the body. You might even be able to bring them all the way down toward the ground. That would be called jump roping the arms. But again, I'm listening to my body here at all times. Relax through the neck. When you're ready, let's swan dive the arms down, drop off your strap on the ground. Again, maybe take a moment to straighten those legs a little bit more if it's comfortable. Now let's take down one knee and then the other, and let's stack up into our all fours pose again. And then I'm going to lower one forearm at a time down to the mat, lacing my fingers, and I'm going to check to be sure my elbows are in line with my shoulders, getting ready for dolphin. So we curl our toes to the ground, we press those heels back and down, and we have a very similar shape in the lower body to downward dog, but this is now called dolphin pose. Stretching out the legs as much as they're comfortable stretching today. Relax through the shoulders, keeping our abdominals engaged for dolphin. 4 more breaths. You might have your head or your hair connecting to the mat here. Now when you're ready, let's gently lower the knees, unlace the fingers, press the hips back to child's pose, balasana. Now from here, let's shift forward again to all fours, and we're going to pick up the left foot and step it all the way up to our hands, keeping the right leg where it is. Now, I can stay here in a low runner's lunge with my left knee right above my left ankle. Another option is to walk those hands up to rest them on that left knee, or I might even take my arms up high for this one. This is our kneeling lunge. We engage the abdominals. We're getting a wonderful stretch through the hips, and I might even inhale and reach up high and take a little crescent bend here if it's comfortable to do so. So engaging through the abdominals is going to be critical for our balance here. Now when you're ready, gently, gently hinge forward back to the mat. Let's take that left foot back and step the right foot forward. So let's feel it out with our different options. We can be low to the ground like a runner's warm-up. We could walk those hands up to rest right above that right knee. Or we might take those arms up high again, reaching those arms up as high as is comfortable, yet still relax the shoulders, and maybe we take a crescent bend. Breathing rather than holding the breath, especially if we're working on these challenging poses. Now when you're ready, gently hinge forward, take that right foot back, come on back into Balasana, child's pose. Now from here, let's lift our hips so we can curl the toes to the ground. Press those heels back and down, coming into downward dog, engaging our abdominals here. When you're ready, another option you might try is to lift that left leg off the ground for three-legged dog. Engage the abdominals for balance help. Now let's bend that left knee, open that left hip out to the side, and step that left foot all the way up to the hands. You can scooch it up there if you need to. Lower your right foot where it is, with the foot on a slight diagonal out to the left side, almost like 10 o'clock on the clock. And then gently, gently we rise, finding our balance, coming into Warrior One. Looking straight ahead into the distance with a soft gaze through the eyes. Nice depth in our stance. Breathing. Now when we're ready, we're going to leave that left foot where it is on the ground. Pick up the right foot, stepping back into Warrior Two, almost as if we're standing on a balance beam now. So my left toes are facing forward toward the top of the mat. My right foot is parallel to the back, shoulders stacked right above the hips, reaching those arms out to their longest length. If my arms are feeling tired, or if I just want some movement, I might inhale the arms overhead, gently straightening the front leg, then back to Warrior Two. Two more breaths. Now from here, let's bend the left arm, resting it on the left thigh, and lean in for side angle pose. Keeping those trunk muscles nice and engaged. Rotate that right shoulder back as if we're resting against a flat surface. When we're ready, lift, 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 back to Warrior Two, stepping all the way up to the top of the mat. Let's inhale both arms overhead, a little bend in the knees as we swan dive to forward fold. On the inhale, we're lifting to monkey pose with a nice flat back, hands resting gently on the legs, exhaling down to forward fold, and on the inhale, we rise up. Exhaling down to forward fold. Inhale as we lift to monkey. Exhale down to forward fold. Rising as we inhale. Swan diving down. Inhaling to monkey. Exhaling, forward fold. Rising tall. A couple more times. Last time through. Now let's bring those arms all the way back down. Now let's find our feet again, hips distance apart at the top of the mat. This time we're gonna inhale the arms up, swan dive down, stepping all the way back for downward dog. Reaching those heels back and down. We're gonna give that three-legged dog option again. So let's engage the abdominals first. Inhale, lift that right leg for three-legged dog. Let's bend the right knee, opening that right hip out to the side, stepping that right foot all the way up toward the hands. Lower the left foot where it is with the left toes angled out at a slight diagonal toward the 1 o'clock on a clock. When we're ready, let's walk the body upright. Find your warrior one with any arm options you like. This time I'm going to use prayer pose. All of us, shoulders stacked right above the hips, engaging our abdominals, drawing good energy up from the ground beneath those strong, grounded feet. Now when you're ready, we're leaving the right foot where it is. We're gently picking up the left foot and stepping back into our warrior two stance, which feels like we're standing on a balance beam or a surfboard here. The right toes are still facing forward. Right foot is parallel to the back of the mat. We reach out long through both arms, relaxing the shoulders. Let's make sure we're not wearing the shoulders like earrings here, gang. Relax through the shoulders. Now, last time we used a flowing option for warrior two. You can stay still here if you like, or flow the pose, inhaling arms up, and then exhaling back. All of us are engaging the abdominals, whether we're standing still or flowing this pose. Couple more breaths here. Coming back to warrior two. Now this is where we're going to bend the right arm, lean into your side angle, rotate that left shoulder back so that your heart is nice and open. Shoulders are as if they're leaning against a flat surface. Here's the difference, gang. This is where we might be closed off. It is closed off. This is where we're open and in good spinal alignment. And this right arm ideally is just resting on this right leg. All of the action is happening here in our torso. So let's take a few more breaths. Now lift, lift, lift with the trunk. Relax those arms, step all the way up to the top of the mat. Let's go for that monkey flow again. Inhaling, arms up, little bend in the knees as we swan dive down. Inhaling and lifting to monkey. Exhaling to forward fold. Rising tall as we inhale, swan diving to forward fold. Always using strong abdominals on the way up and on the way back down. One more time through. Now, let's go ahead and relax those arms. It's another good time to take a drink here to stay hydrated. Now, in the last couple of lessons, I've been using some snippets that I found from Sarah Clark, who is a yoga journal influencer, a yogini in her own right. She has these wonderful ways to build up prana or life force in the body, and I have just really enjoyed using them. So we're going to use those parts again today. So let's start off with arms out at shoulder height, palms down. Let's exhale. Inhale as we lift. Exhale, bring those arms around you. This is called empty coat sleeves flow. So I'm bending both arms, one behind me, one in front of me, and it's a nice way to gently twist through the spine. And after some of our warrior poses, this feels like just a nice break and feels fun at the same time. So thank you, Sarah Clark, for sharing these with the internet so that I could see them. How about one more time on each side here, gang? All right, now we're going to use our breath of joy. So let's inhale, arms overhead, little bend in the knees as we swan dive to a forward fold. On the inhale, let's come into a chair pose, and then inhale, arms overhead. So let's swan dive as we exhale. Inhale to chair and continue to inhale those arms all the way up. Inhaling to chair, inhaling overhead arms. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale to chair and all the way up. Exhale, swan diving down. Couple more times through. Last time. Now let's bring those arms up to a V pose, victory pose. Feet are hips distance apart. Let's take a few deep breaths here. Feeling victorious in the fact that we set aside time for our yoga practice today. Victory! I know some days we don't have that time, or sometimes we don't make the time. I'm right there with you. So when we are here and we are doing it, let's be victorious. Let's inhale, and on the exhale, bring those arms down to mountain, Tadasana. Standing tall, long through the neck, lifting our crown tall toward the sky. As we stand tall in mountain, Tadasana, let's say to ourselves, I am the mountain. I am strong. I am grounded. I am secure. I am the mountain. Now let's relax those arms. We are going to pick up our strap once again. We're going to do a standing balance pose, and I think the strap will be helpful for a lot of us. It's not required, but I will show you some options. We're going to use dancer pose. Now, dancer is a pose where we stand on one foot. It's got a hinge forward from the hips, and it can be a very challenging pose, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try it today, okay? I think it's important to try challenging things because we'll be surprised sometimes by what we can actually do, but we've never really tried it. So here's what we're going to try. If you're using your strap, you're going to put it across the front of your left leg. Let's start all together on the same leg. So I'm putting my strap across the front of my left leg. So if I look down, I can see the strap across my shin. And I'm holding on to the strap behind me here with both ends in one hand. So here's how dancer is going to work. First of all, I'm going to lift up the leg that has the strap around it. I'm going to bend at the knee, and I'm just going to cinch up my strap so that I feel like I'm good and supported. I'm flexing the left foot behind me, and I've got a bend in the knee that feels comfortable for me. So it can be more of a bend or less of a bend. And I'm going to engage my abdominals because I need to find my balance here. Rooting down through my right foot. So you can stay here if you like for one version of dancer. Another version involves that hinge forward. So I'm going to lift my right arm high as I inhale, and on my exhale, with a little bend in my supporting knee, I'm going to try to hinge forward from the hips. Still holding on to the strap behind me. If you don't have a strap and you're able to reach your ankle with your bare hand, that's certainly an option. Keep those abdominals engaged, everybody. It's going to be helpful. I'm looking down at the ground to keep my head in line with the spine. Let's take 3 more breaths. Keep breathing. Now gently, gently, let's rise up. Woo, let's relax that strap. Take it off the left foot, and let's get ready to move it over to the right leg. So again, if you're able to reach back and hold on to your ankle with your bare hand, you can certainly use that option instead. It's totally up to you. I'm going to use my strap on the other side, so I'm putting it across the front of my right shin. So look down. You can see that strap is across the front of your right shin. Now get onto a steady piece of ground here. Let's pick that right leg up. Gather up the slack in your strap and flex the right foot behind you. Let's all engage the abdominals, whether you're hinging forward or not. Everyone's breathing. If you're using the hinge, let's inhale that left arm up. And on the exhale, we hinge forward from the hips. Of course, always listening to the body at all times and taking breaks whenever we need to. This is dancer. Now lifting, lifting, lifting all the way up. All right, go ahead and take that strap off. Shoo-wee, dancer. Challenging, challenging, but good to try. You know, good to do because it engages those core muscles. We have to. And when you have strong abdominals, they help support your back. So the abdominals and the back are working in good harmony wherever you go. So I know these things are challenging. I know they can be hard, but they are so beneficial for the body and the mind. When we accomplish these things, these great things, gosh, that makes us feel good all over. So don't be afraid to try hard things. Give them a try. Nothing has to be perfect. We just want to be safe. And you'll be surprised as you continue to practice. Your ease with these challenging poses is just going to become better and better. So thank you for trying dancer today. Now another one of my favorite poses is standing spinal twist. Just feels so good. So let's bring both hands together at heart center. Let's inhale, engaging our abdominal muscles, lifting tall through the crown. On the exhale, starting below the navel, let's gently, gently begin to twist our trunk toward one side of our mat, doesn't matter which side. And I'm trying to keep my hips as forward as possible because they want to start twisting to the side as well. But I want to focus that twist in the trunk only as much as possible. Breathing rather than holding the breath. Feeling this wonderful twist through the spine. Gently, gently, woo-wee, come on back to the center. Now let's get ready for the other side. Let's inhale, lift up tall, zip up those abdominal muscles, and on the exhale, turning toward the other side. Earlier in our practice, we talked about burning away debris by building heat in the body. Think about wringing those things out now. If we've burned up all this debris, let's wring it out of the body. Let's let it go. Now when you're ready, let's come all the way back to the center. Relax those arms, roll those shoulders back and down. Now we're going to start to work our way back down to the mat. So let's move on up to the top of the mat here. Let's inhale, both arms overhead. Put a little bend in the knees here, and let's swan dive down to a forward fold. Take your time getting there. When you get to that forward fold, let's try to straighten the legs as much as is comfortable today. And I thought today that we would use a gorilla bind option, which can be challenging for the balance and kind of fun at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one whole hand and slide it palm up underneath one whole foot. So my toes are resting in the bend of my wrist. Both sides here. Now, if you're guarding your wrist, this may not be a comfortable option, so you certainly don't have to use it if you don't want to. Now, because I'm standing on my hands, for me, I had to bend my knees a little bit to get there. So now, I take the opportunity to straighten out the legs a little more. Relaxing the head and the neck in gorilla. It's a nice way to stretch out the shoulders too by standing on the hands. Now when you're ready, gently, gently take out one hand and then the other, and let's step all the way back into downward dog. Oh, I sure do love the luxurious stretch that we get from downward dog. And you know, if it's not comfortable to straighten your legs here, you can still bend the knees and still get that wonderful, nice elongation through the spine. Now from here, we're going to shift all the way forward to a high plank and lower the knees and lower our whole selves down to the ground. Now earlier we used our cobra pose, and cobra, I pointed out then, is only using the back for this extension. However, we have another pose called Sphinx, which is not going to use the back. Instead, it's going to use the arms to lift us. So I want you to make sure that your arms and your elbows are close to your body, like right outside the rib cage. Our legs are still hips distance apart. I'm going to activate the legs, pointing through the toes. I'm going to engage the buttocks here, engage the abdominal muscles. And here, I'm going to press down through my forearms. And that's going to bring me into extension for Sphinx. Now you can come up as high as you want into your Sphinx pose. When I get up into Sphinx, then I take a moment to walk my elbows in so that they're right underneath my shoulders. Abdominals engaged, pressing down through the forearms, extending through the back. Breathing rather than holding the breath. This is Sphinx pose, like the Sphinx in Egypt. 3 more breaths. When you're ready, we're going to lower our chest back down to the ground. Place your palms now right outside of the chest, palms down. Carefully lift the body back to our child's pose, Balasana. Now, if you'd like, we can walk those hands over to one diagonal again for downward facing thunderbolt. Now walk those hands back to the center and over to the other side. Now let's walk those hands back to the center. Walk the hands back toward the knees so you can lift yourself up. And let's go ahead and sit down here on the mat. Now we're going to use our inclined plank here. Last week I believe we used our tabletop pose as well. Remember, tabletop pose and inclined plank are very similar. It's where you lift your bottom off the ground and you have your hands behind you supporting the pose. So you can either use tabletop, which has bent knees, and we lift up and make the shape of a table, or today I'm also going to show the option of inclined plank. So that has long legs out in front of us. The hands are still behind us, right below the shoulders. And I'm going to point through the toes here. So when you're ready, whether you're choosing tabletop or inclined plank, let's inhale, lifting up off the mat. The arms support the pose. Inclined plank, we have a long diagonal line from our collarbone all the way down to the tips of our toes. Everybody breathing, breathing. Two more breaths. Now come on down. Now let's slide up toward the top of the mat. Hold on behind the legs here. Gently roll down one vertebrae at a time and hug those knees in close to you. We feel that nice release of the lower back when the knees are close. You might choose to rock the knees gently, gently, side to side. Whatever feels good. I could even circle the knees around here. And then we'll bring those knees back in toward the chest. Now let's keep our knees bent, but lower the feet down to the mat. Let's turn the palms of our hands up toward the sky and walk the feet together and the knees together. Let's open up into a reclined butterfly position. Letting the hips just gently fall apart. Here you have gravity's help, helping us to open those hips. Now when we're ready, let's bring those butterfly wings back upright. Let's extend our right leg long to the ground, keeping the left knee bent. And let's open up our arms like scarecrow arms here, just at shoulder height. Let's lift that left knee so that our shin is parallel to the ceiling or the sky, and cross that left knee over your long right leg. Now here I want to make sure that both of my shoulders are connected to the ground so that I'm being safe through the spine here. Now for some folks, if you want a deeper twist, you might take your right hand and gently rest it on the left knee. Just gently maybe pressing a little deeper into that stretch. But let's be mindful of those connected shoulders. Let's take a few more breaths here. This is our supine spinal twist. Now when we're ready, gently, gently come back to the center. Let's switch sides. So the left leg is now long to the ground. The right shin is parallel to the sky. Cross it over gently, gently. Keep the shoulders connected. Maybe we'll use the left hand to gently press through that right knee. Whatever feels good for us today. Sometimes we come to the mat and the hips might be a little tighter than other days. I just notice it. I just observe and I say, my hips are a little tighter today than they were a few days ago. I don't judge it. I don't say, what the heck is wrong with these hips? I used to be able to do this and get deeper. No, that we're letting go of judgment, even when it's directed toward ourselves. So we notice it and we say, my hips are a little tighter today. That's it. Be kind to yourself, everybody. Now when you're ready, gently unwind, come on back to the center. Take those arms down from scarecrow height, and let's just rest them just outside of the hips, finding ourselves in Shavasana, corpse pose. We've made it to the end of our practice, gang. And all that we need to do here in Shavasana is breathe easily and simply observe. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable to do so. Just allow the goodness of our physical work to soak into these strong, healthy bodies. start to awaken these bodies from this balancing mindful rest, where we choose to be still and quiet, balancing out all of the physical work we've shared here today. Let's take a moment to bend the knees, hugging them in closer to our chest. And again, we might choose to rock the knees gently side to side, massaging the back in a gesture of self-care. And when we're ready, let's gently roll the whole body over to one side on the mat. Each of us breathing in the peace, the balance, and the focus that we've shared here in this practice today, intending to take it with us everywhere we go. And exhaling all of the warmth, kindness, encouragement, and love that we have for each other, for the world around us, and for ourselves. And with our eyes still closed, as you're ready, let's rise up to an easy seated posture on the mat. And I invite each one of us to bring the palms together at heart center. Let's rub those hands vigorously to warm them today. And let's use our warm hands to gently cover our closed eyes. And that wonderful heat that we find there is inviting our eyes to slowly open, and we bring our hands to rest upon our laps. Clear minds, kind words, compassionate hearts. Namaste.